today's edition of NHL Trade Talk, we're discussing the New York Rangers. Reports have surfaced that they may intend to be sellers at the deadline and kind of blow things up and retool for next season. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So let's jump into today's edition of NHL Trade Talk. Today, as I mentioned, we're discussing the New York Rangers. Now, everything I mentioned in today's report comes from a report I read on TSN, and TSN cited New York sports writer Larry Brooks as their source for this information. So this is just strictly rumors that I'm reporting on here. This is not my own opinion. So we'll see what happens here in the coming days and weeks as we approach the NHL trade deadline. So the report mentions that the New York Rangers very well might be sellers at the trade deadline and kind of decide to blow things up, if you will, and kind of retool as they prepare for their future. Now this came as a little bit of a surprise. I mean, the Rangers are still in the thick of things for the playoffs, and I wouldn't have been completely surprised to see them make a few moves. However, there has been lots and lots of Rangers speculation in the last number of weeks and months, really since the season began. When the season began, there was a lot more speculation because they got off to such a rough start, but as they kind of improved their play and stabilized their results, the speculation kind of went away a little bit. But as we approach the deadline, there's been a lot more rampant discussion around what are the Rangers going to do, not only for the trade deadline, but going forward. So some of these moves that were mentioned may or may not all happen by the deadline, but the ones that don't happen by the deadline are, according to this report, are fully expected to happen maybe in the summertime as we approach the NHL draft and free agency. So right now it's been reported that they more than likely are going to try to move any of their pending UFAs, most notably Rick Nash and Michael Grabner. The report suggests that they felt very confident that they could get a fair bit back for Rick Nash. Obviously, Rick Nash is a very accomplished goal scorer. Obviously not quite the talent he was years ago, but he's proven to be, a 20-30 goal scorer many times in his career. And as teams approach the playoffs and make a push for the Stanley Cup, he certainly could help the team in the playoffs and to help them achieve their goals. So depending on the team, he certainly could be a potential upgrade in the top 6 or in the top 9 situation. So they fully suspected to be able to get multiple pieces back for Nash. And if they can, that they more than likely were going to go ahead and move him. Now, Michael Grabner's on pace to potentially hit 30 goals again this year. I mean, he's a pretty consistent 20, 25, 30 goal guy, and he's more than likely going to be on the move again. I think with Grabner's speed and his ability to score, he could certainly bring him back some assets as well. It wasn't speculated he probably wouldn't get quite the return that Nash would, considering Nash's level of experience, but Grabner could certainly bring him back some assets as well. If they don't intend to re-sign these players in the offseason, and it does make total sense to trade them and bring back whatever assets you can. Personally, I thought they might try to re-sign Michael Grabner. He's been a really good player for them and kind of flies under the radar a little bit with that lightning speed, and he seems to get lots of breakaways and scores lots of goals. But it looks like they may be willing to move on from Nash and Grabner as they are expiring contracts and they want to recoup whatever assets they're able to. Now, the other players mentioned in this report that are likely being considered to be traded is captain on defense Ryan McDonagh and forward Mats Zuccarello. Obviously, if you take away Grabner, Nash, Zuccarello, and McDonagh, that's a lot of their team's top players. So with Ryan McDonagh, we've had lots of trade speculation that we've discussed on this channel before. Obviously, it looks as though they might be willing to move him. Personally, I think that's more of a deal that happens at in the summertime, maybe at the draft. Same with Zuccarello. I mean, I wouldn't completely rule it out. It depends on how aggressive they want to be, but I really think they'd probably get a better return in the summertime than they would now on these players with existing contracts like McDonagh and Zuccarello. So it looks as though that they're willing, based on this report, now that's what the report's indicating, that they're considering completely blowing things up and kind of really attacking the core of this team and kind of starting fresh and retooling for next year. Obviously, with Henrik Lundqvist, would love to win the Stanley Cup, and he's not getting any younger, so I'm not sure how he's going to feel about this if they go to retool. I mean, it's hard to say how long it'll put them out of things. It depends on how quickly and what they get back for assets. I mean, obviously, this draft coming up in 2018 is expected to be a really deep draft, so if they can land themselves 1 or 2 first-round draft picks in this draft, I mean, that might help them rebound very, very quickly. hard to say. I certainly know there's some Rangers fans out there watching our channel, so I certainly want to hear your thoughts and your comments. I'm curious to hear what you think of this report. Like I mentioned, this is not my opinion. This is just a report that's stemmed from Larry Brooks and that I encountered here in Canada on TSN. So certainly leave some comments down below and let me know what you think of these potential moves that the Rangers may be making here. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. You'll see our Twitter handle right here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. All of our social media accounts can be found down in the description below. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.